Fantastic Four makes waves. South Park does South Park things. And our first look at Avatar Fire and Ash. All this and so much more in this episode of Beyond the Screen. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Screen. Quick PSA before we get going. You heard it last week. You're going to hear it again this week. We are leaving Hollow Moon Media's YouTube channel. That's right. We're getting our own YouTube dedicated strictly to Beyond the Screen. I will be your host today, getting back to regularly scheduled programs. My name is Ryan, and with me, as always, is Jake Holtzclaw. Jake, how are you?
Doing awesome. I am very tired, and I don't think it's going to get any better for the next month because we have a lot in store for us, don't we, Ryan?
We do.
And Emily.
A lot of creative content coming, not here, but somewhere. And so it's going to be fun. It's just August is a busy month for us. I would say historically, August has been a very busy month. We haven't been graduated that long. So it's just run of the mill, I guess, August. But yeah, it's going to be busy.
Yeah, but it's going to be fun.
It's going to be amazing.
Ryan, how are you?
I am fantastic. I am excited to be back on Beyond the Screen, my beloved. My two lovely people that helped me make this happen did awesome last week. They tell me that I'm lying and that I'm being too optimistic, but I'm telling you, they did fantastic. And those of you who watched it know they did fantastic, and it was fun. But they filled in for me, and I was gone because I was on vacation. We went to a music festival. Me and my partner and her family, some of her family, go up to a fairly large music festival. And it's an every year thing, and we had fun. We had a ton of fun. Turns out your lips can get sunburnt too, as I discovered. Hence why my complexion, for those of us watching on Spotify and YouTube, wear like chapstick that's like got sunscreen in it. That is a thing. We know a certain filmmaker who would yell at us about sunscreen. Hello, Sierra. But but I guess another PSA is wear like chapstick sunscreen because it'll burn, and my lips burn. And so, but other than that, I'm just happy to be back, happy to be here, happy to be doing our thing.
Happy to have you, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of selfish to take a vacation.
Yeah, right. How could I? How dare I?
How could you? Yeah. So.
And on that note, I think we have a lot of film news to get through. Some big, major stories happened this past week. So we're going to go ahead and get into our box office update. So with our hits this week, we'll start with Fantastic Four, go on to Superman, Jurassic World Rebirth, F1, and round out with Smurfs. So we're going to start with Marvel. Obviously, every film that they release always ends up number one. I think this was, if I remember correctly, reading, and I didn't write this down, and I meant to. I think this is like the 37th straight film, like Marvel film they've released that's released to number one on the box office. It's ridiculous. Like, the number was astronomical. It might not be 37, but it was something like that, like 27. Even if it was 27, it's insane. So, again, not only is this the 37th straight, or if it's 37 for Marvel, this is also the fourth biggest opener of the year and the biggest for all superhero films, and that is Marvel's first family in the Fantastic Four First Steps. So it hit audiences and they loved it. It's earned $118 million domestically and $218 globally. Now, mind you, the film cost $200 million to produce, and that's an estimated number. So this film has already exceeded expectations and earned back its revenue. We're looking at potentially another billion-dollar film for the MCU. So it also clobbered the entirety of the box office earnings of the last Fantastic Four iteration, which no one's shocked, which that one released in 2015. That film earned around $57 million. So yeah, no one was surprised by this. The memed line of say that again. It's back and it lost. So the film is currently doing well with critics and general audiences alike, hitting an 87 on the tomato meter, 87% on the tomato meter, and a 93% on the popcorn meter. So the tomato meter is critics, popcorn meter is general audiences and fans, and overall, to have an average of 90 between, and that's your 90% between critics and audience reviews, you're doing something correct. So, for those who don't know, I mean, I think people can generally get the idea of what the film's about if you've watched a trailer, but the IMDb synopsis is, quote, forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond, the Fantastic Four must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic herald, Silver Surfer. So, Jake, what do we think about Marvel again hitting top strides, hitting top marks in the box office, and what the Fantastic Four could mean for the MCU? Because this is essentially the start of a reboot. There's rumors that Pedro Pascal, his Reed Richards, is going to be the lead of the Avengers moving forward when the Avengers are essentially come back together. So, what do we think about the success of, and the first real huge success of a Fantastic Four film?
Well, I think they marketed it like heavy, man. Like this was a big film. They had to win on this one, and I think they. I mean, number one, the story had to be there, and evidently with the scores, it was. And I think it was just one of those highly anticipated films, or even the most anticipated of this year. Um, Pedro Pascal being a big name to begin with, and I think everybody likes the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
It's just they haven't been given the justice, um, and so we've actually gotten like sneak peeks of Robert Downey Jr. as
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Doom, and I was like, whoa, totally different look than
Yeah.
like the Iron Man look. Like he just changed his face. It- I don't
Crazy.
know. I don't know how he did it. But it genuinely made me is like, oh, this guy's serious. It doesn't just look like Tony Stark in a hood. I
Yeah.
don't know. It does, but it doesn't. It
Yeah.
sold it for me, at least in that particular photo, in that scene. Um, but I've seen a lot of people kind of like wondering what Galactus is all about, and I think it takes a little bit of prior comic knowledge to know why he does the things he does. But
Mm-hmm.
overall, if it's getting that good of scores, probably not too crazy off in terms of story for someone who doesn't know.
Yeah, full disclaimer here, we've not seen it. Like I haven't had the time to go see it, so I don't want us to talk about. I didn't ask that, and Jake, you answered it perfectly. I didn't want to insinuate we had because we haven't. But what I will say is interesting from the surrounding nature that is this film. So not talking about this film in particular, or I mean the story in particular, I should say. Um, Pedro's casting has always been interesting because people say he doesn't really look like Reed Richards. And it makes a lot of sense when you cast somebody like Pedro if you think he's going to be like a leader of your franchise moving forward, right? Like that's why you cast Chris Evans, Hemsworth, Downey. Like that's why you do that in the past. And I feel like because if you look at the other actors going for Reed Richards, I mean, outside of every other A-lister in Hollywood, the big names that have come out and said, "Hey, like I wanted that role," is like David Tennant from Doctor Who. I think even Matt Smith was connected to it at one point, who was another Doctor in the series. And those are like specifically David Tennant are those who are like, I really wanted it, but it ended up going to Pedro. And the thing is, both of those guys, and I'm using them as an example because one, I love Doctor Who, but two, that's what come across my feed in particular. And those are two that have heralded major franchises before. I mean, obviously the same franchise, but they have been those leads for multiple years. So the fact that they didn't go with that seasoned, established, like veteran in terms of long term holding down the fort, and they went with a Pedro, I think says enough because it would make more sense if he was just going to be another character that kept coming around. If you didn't go with a Pedro, but going with someone as established as a Pascal to lead the franchise makes a lot more sense when you think about why they casted him in the beginning. It's not just about if he looks like Reed Richards, it's can he be someone who's popular enough to be in that role for a decade and be
Right.
the leader for a decade.
Which arguably Robert Downey Jr. was not when he was Iron Man.
Yeah.
Not as.
One of them. Yeah, he was one of the major players. But like it was Evans for the most part.
Yeah, well, like even when Iron Man kicked off the MCU, Robert Downey Jr. was not big when
No.
he got that role.
Right.
And then he became Tony Stark and everybody. I mean, forever, if you ever think about Iron Man or Tony Stark, you will think about Robert Downey
Yeah.
Jr. And it'll be like that for decades to come. I think if they play their cards right through uh, this run at this universe, I think Pedro could likely solidify himself as Reed Richards if he plays it right. If he
Yeah.
plays it right and the others give him good stories,
Yeah.
he can only act as good as the writers. Um, I think he could be Reed Richards,
Yeah.
but I right now I think about the first actor
Yeah.
from Fantastic Four, and
Oh,
not Miles Teller.
because he was awesome. He embodied the
No.
role. And the thing is I've seen some critiques for Pedro saying he's just trying to be Mr. Fantastic. He's not embodying the character, or he's just Pedro again. But I don't know. I mean, that again, that's kind of why you get a guy like that, is because he's a recognizable face. He's a world class talent, even if it's in his own way. So I'm intrigued to watch the film and tell you exactly how I feel about it. But once you read the reports, or the rumors anyway, they're not really any official reports, but the rumors that they're eyeing Pedro's Reed Richards to lead the Avengers when they reboot it after, I think, 2 years from now with Secret Wars, makes a lot more sense why they cast a guy that people don't necessarily think looks like the comic book counterpart. It's for star power. So we'll go ahead and move down the line here, 2 through 5 in the box office. So in its third weekend in theaters, DC Studios Superman finishes second, earning 24.9 million domestically. While this is a 57% drop in ticket sales from the previous week, this was to be expected with obviously its time in theaters and the aforementioned Fantastic Four coming out. But these are still very strong numbers for a film, again, dealing with the hotter Fantastic Four and its third week in theaters. So the film has also officially passed the the $500 million mark. Now, if you remember when we talked about it before, right as the film released 2 or 3 weeks ago, Warner Brothers had announced or had talked about this film needing to cross the $500 million mark for it to even be considered anything as sort of a success. And it's done that. It has the fan power behind it, it's got the review power behind it, and it's got the money behind it, with everything going on with the DCEU and the Zack Snyder people and all the back and forth, which you can love both, as we've talked about and reiterated time and time again on this show. I think that makes this all the more impressive, and I'm happy to see the DCU taking off in such a good way. Moving down the line, finishing third is the legacy sequel, Jurassic World Rebirth. It pulled in another 13 million at the domestic box office in its first month in theaters, its fourth week. This brings its domestic total up to 301.5. The film also raised its overall global total to 718 million, making it one of the most profitable films of the year, which for me, that was kind of surprising to read about how their sustainability has kept going for a film that people have just said is meh. So Jurassic World continues its strong trek. Finishing fourth is F1, the movie starring Brad Pitt, in its fifth weekend in theaters. The film earned 6.2 million domestically to actually rise up a spot when compared to its last week rating, jumping from fifth to fourth. So that's, again, staying power high with Apple's first big time success in cinema. The film's overall totals include 165.5 million domestically and 509 million globally. And rounding out our top five is The Smurfs, or just Smurfs. This one is our one major fall in our top five. Dropped 50% in its second week in ticket sales and only earned 5.4 million domestically, which for a film that's a strictly animated feature, this is probably still a great second week. I can only imagine with a feature film though, or like a family flick like this, you expected it with the legacy brand of the Smurfs, a family film in theaters when there's really not a ton of other family films out right now. You probably would have thought that this would have, at least if you're the producers, that this would have had more like firepower behind it, but it didn't. And so now we're talking about the Smurfs. I don't know. Is it a flop, or is it, like, what do you think, Jake?
I don't. I mean, it definitely is not going to be something you look back on and remember as like the Smurfs movie. Like,
Yeah.
it's just one of those. They just made it. I mean, it's just a Smurfs movie. I really don't think it's going to be
Yeah.
groundbreaking, and or has it been? Like, I don't think it has been.
Yeah.
So did you say it made money? Has it made money?
Yeah, I mean, it earned 5.4 million domestically
Right.
this week,
Well,
and then last week it made about
I
10.
mean,
It was maybe closer
there
to 11. It dropped 50%. So it's okay. Like, this is a $15 million haul after 2 weeks, roughly. So
it
it's
took 58 million and it
50.
grossed
Oh,
69
that's global.
worldwide.
That's global. Sorry. Yeah,
No,
that's about.
no, budget. It was made in
Oh,
58. Sorry,
understood.
probably misspoke. 58 million was the budget, and global, at least according to Google's AI overview, AI,
Mm-hmm.
69 million worldwide.
I mean,
So
it's made money. If that's its only, then it's a success. I just would have
without
assumed.
marketing.
Yeah, I would have assumed that the Smurfs, with its branding, again, you guys talked about it a little bit last week, it's old, right? Like kids today don't
Yeah.
really know the Smurfs. So that's shocking that it is profitable.
In the same way. They
Yeah.
don't know the Smurfs in the same way. So I just don't think it achieved uh, reestablishing the Smurfs in the next generation. I don't think it did that.
Yeah. Isn't
Is
John Goodman Papa Smurf in this?
no, I thought it was the guy who likes meat on Parks and Rec.
Oh, Nick Offerman.
Yeah, I thought it was Nick Offerman.
It probably here. Well, I mean, there is a simple solution to this lack of information.
The Google.
Yeah.
We had a professor
Niche
in
reference.
college that he would call it the Google.
It is John Goodman who's Papa Smurf.
Oh, is it my fault, everybody?
Oh no, you're good.
I
They
just
just
pulled a name out of thin air.
it's gotta. It's
Actually,
just
Ryan did.
think about this all-starred cast: Rihanna, Octavia Spencer, John Goodman, James Corden. I know how people feel about him, but he's still a name. Kurt Russell, apparently Marshmello, the EDM
The
dude.
entire budget was cast.
Yeah. Nick Offerman is in it, but he's Ken.
Oh.
He's a character named Ken.
Wow. Okay.
Dan Levy is in it. Sandra Oh is in it. Okay, and I could keep going on. But the point is that this is an all-star, like, this cast is like low-key kind of,
The budget was
yeah,
just all cast.
cast. And it doesn't look bad. The animation actually looks pretty good.
Emily actually disagrees.
She doesn't like the animation?
I think last week she said she
It
did
does
not
look,
like the
yes, I
animation.
remember. It looks weird. But
It's 3D on 2D.
yeah,
I think.
it is odd. But I think
Or
it looks
2D. It's 2D on 3D. Like the characters are 2D.
right. Is it the best
very
animation
odd.
I've ever seen? No, but like when you realize that cast and knowing that their 50, almost $60 million budget probably was 2/3 cast, they made a
Yeah.
full feature length with an animation that looks somewhat crisp for pennies on the dollar in today's industry, right?
Yeah, but how much went to the story?
Bean mouth. If I see more bean mouth, I'm going to. Anyway, other things that have happened in the box office. I Know What You Did Last Summer dropped completely out of the top 5, landing 6th, and Ari Aster's Eddington continues to slide, dropping down to 9th on the charts. So now is the time in our first segment to talk predictions. So
Oh, we got updated, and I think it's still the same
outcome.
1 through 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic Four, Superman, Jurassic World, F1, Smurfs.
Got you. Nothing changed.
Darn. I was really hoping I'd get the prediction, the royal flush.
Yeah, almost.
So, almost last week, if
So-
you listen.
We're going to predict for this upcoming week. So we got a trio of decently sized releases happening. So starting on Wednesday, a midweek release for the body horror from Neon called Together, starting a Franco. I think it's Dave Franco in this one. He leads, and that comes out on Wednesday. On Friday, August 1st, we get the Liam Neeson starring Naked Gun adaptation, the sequel, and DreamWorks' The Bad Guys 2. So, Jake, how do we think the box office will look a week from today?
I'm going Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking Naked Gun.
Oh,
I think it's gonna get a lot of old heads
interesting.
in seats. I think it's gonna get a lot of unks
Mhm.
into theaters. I don't know. The Bad Guys. That might be the upset. Naked Gun and The Bad Guys, I think, could be flip flopped here.
Mhm.
I'm going Superman,
Okay.
and then I think Together can do it for 5.
Ooh, a non-horror guy going with a body horror to round out a top 5. Interesting. Walk me through
Maybe.
that.
Looking at it right now, I think Together can pull more than 6 mil.
You think so?
I think it'll be right there because I don't think F1's going to pull 6 mil again.
I think
I think Superman can definitely pull more than 10.
Yeah.
Or maybe right at 10.
Yeah.
And that's why I think The Bad Guys can likely pull teens to 20, and then Naked Gun, I'm hoping that pulls 30 plus.
Yeah.
And then I think Fantastic Four pulls 60 to 70 all day. Million. I'm talking in millions, people. Around here, we use these small numbers because we're talking big.
6 zeros, baby. That's all
Yo.
we have here. Anyway, I'm almost there with you. I'm saying Fantastic Four will definitely stay first. I don't think Naked Gun will go that high. I agree with Superman probably dropping. Although my gut tells me it probably will stick to 2. What I am banking on in my prediction, I'm going a little bit of an upset here because also don't have Superman at 2. I'm actually going the opposite direction. I think The Bad Guys 2 will finish second because the first, it was the highest grossing animated film the year it released. It beat it was a big deal when it beat Disney films, right? So then that's a DreamWorks. So I'm actually going to say that there's a market for the sequel. There's really no traditional, yes, Smurfs are there, but if right now, if anything, Smurfs have less of a pull on younger audience than The Bad Guys because The Bad Guys is so hindsight, so relevant right now. Relevancy bias.
You might be right. I'd be willing to like I said, Naked Gun was my upset. I want it to be second.
No, right? Yeah, same. I would love to see it. I just don't think it's going to pull as much. I think that it will finish. I think it will finish. Where am I? Superman third, fourth.
Naked Gun.
I will say it will probably because it's got enough pull. We'll talk about its creative marketing strategy a lot later in the show because it's doing a lot. And their marketing's been not just creative. It's been a lot. There has been a lot of stuff about it. So I think that those dividends will, especially in what we talk about later, I don't want to spoil it. It's in our last segment. But it's very creative, and it is connecting to a younger audience, most definitely, because they will meme it and they will know it. So I think that'll pay them dividends. I think it will stick in the top 4. I don't think it'll be 2, but I think it'll be finished behind Superman in 4th. Okay, 5th. I don't know if Together will beat F1. I think F1 will stick around the $5 million mark.
What? No way. No way, because it dropped a quarter. Dude, it was at 9.
Right, you've convinced me.
More.
It's in my mind, it's going to be so close. I think Smurfs just completely falls out. I think F1 will probably. I think it'll be 6th or 7th. It'll try to sneak in there. I don't know. I have been burned by horror films before in these predictions. I have had higher hopes for horror or more dramatic films, and they have burned me. So I have lost a little bit of faith in their predictability, not their content, I should say. So I'm going to say I'll stick with 5 because I think its newness will, and it's had a lot of marketing too. So its newness will probably pay it dividends. But so to recap, Jake's predicting the Fantastic Four will finish first, followed by Naked Gun, Bad Guys 2, Superman, and then Together, the horror film from Neon, at 5. I am very similar to him. We actually have, I think, the exact same 5. They're just in different orders. Mine is Fantastic Four, The Bad Guys 2, Superman, Naked Gun, and Together. So come back next week to see which one of us predicted more correctly. So Jake, any final thoughts on the box office before we hop into our next segment?
I do not have much. I did see that Thunderbolts added 25 theaters, sitting at number 18, and it made another 100,000. I don't know what 25 theaters picked that up. I don't know. It's just these very small things that you notice on the list of movies that come in, and it's just like, why'd they do that? But I see nothing else jumping out at me. I mean, there's a few debuts here, but under 1,000 theaters, each of them. But
if I remember correctly, what film was it called? Was it Pete Davidson's horror film release?
The Home.
The Home released
to 1,000.
Yeah. And that one was 10.9 or something like that. It was top 10, wasn't it?
Number 10. Still estimated at 1 million, almost 1 million flat, 1,000,009. And it's trying to beat Oh Hi, which is a Sony picture.
Yeah.
It's a romantic comedy. So
we talked about it
within 100,000. So
interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll stay top 10. They got to get it more, in more theaters, but I don't think it'll see top 5. I don't think it was marketed well or pushed very hard.
Yeah. And on that note, we'll go ahead and end our first segment. We're going to get out of our box office news and get into the biggest news from this past week, and we are for certain you've heard of it. So, coming up after the break, South Park lands a new deal at Paramount, and news on a Friday the 13th film and game. Hear about it next. Hello and welcome back to Beyond the Screen. You've made it to segment 2, our major news. We're going to go and hop into it because, again, you've probably heard this. You've heard a ton about it, but I have put all the pieces together in a format that I hope is quick and enticing for all of you lovely people, because a lot happened this past week in the world of Paramount, in the world of South Park, and it can get to be a lot. So, as stated previously, South Park lands a massive new deal to remain exclusive to Paramount, then proceeds to do very South Park things. And if you can think about it, you're probably right if you haven't seen it. So, in a massive week for David Ellison and Skydance, yeah, we're not starting in Paramount, we're starting in Skydance, the FCC officially approved the $8 billion acquisition of the struggling production house Paramount and all of its assets, which include CBS, MTV, Paramount Pictures, got Nickelodeon in there, and so on and so forth. This ends a long and dramatic 13 months that finally see the Redstone family, the family that's traditionally owned Paramount for a very long time, handing the keys to one of America's most recognizable brands to the son of the second most wealthy man in the world, with a rough closing date of August 7th currently on the books. So, a huge deal. Not a small acquisition. This has been something people have talked about exhaustively. So we're not going to sit here and harp on Paramount going to Skydance, because kind of everyone knew it was happening, but it's a big deal in media history. So that is not the only win that the incoming owners took this past week. As early last week, South Park creators Trey Park and Matt Stone officially agreed to an astounding 5-year, $1.5 billion deal with Paramount, according to Forbes. This deal brings the global distribution rights home to Paramount Plus, a massive win for a streamer punching up against giants like Disney Plus, HBO, and Netflix. Until last month, the global streaming rights were held by HBO, and that was from before this decade. So we'll get into how that happened, because technically Comedy Central runs South Park, and Comedy Central's owned by Paramount. We'll get into how that happened. But now that's coming home. Paramount Plus is going to be the exclusive global distributor for new episodes. So going back to the HBO thing, this is something, just a quick tidbit. While that deal was in place, Paramount commissioned Parker and Stone to create exclusives for the streamer, only for HBO to turn around and say, you voided your contract, we're suing you. And that's a whole other story. But imagine that, and it's vital to talk about, because while everything's happening that we're talking about, between this deal happening all last week, Skydance getting Paramount officially, and there's still a lawsuit from Warner Brothers. So all this is happening at one time, and this will make more sense why that's important to note, but keep that in mind. So the new deal has been notoriously contentious, as both sides bickered back and forth while at the negotiating table. Originally, Parker and Stone, who independently own the IP for South Park. Paramount does not own anything that's not under contract. Stone and Parker own South Park and the production company entirely independently. No backing. So those two approached Paramount with a 10-year, $3 billion offer. So essentially, they wanted to double it, what they essentially got. An offer of which new owners rebuked. So David Ellison and company were like, no, we're not doing that. Parker and Stone also, while that's happening, I should say first, sorry, that those negotiations were happening with the old Paramount ownership. So Parker and Stone are going up to the Redstones and the current ownership, the soon-to-be old ownership, and saying, we want this. Skydance, because they're in the process of buying them, was just jumping in and saying no. While that was happening, Parker and Stone also accused incoming Paramount president Jeff Shell of tampering with previous negotiations the pair held with Netflix and HBO Max, and that's according to Variety. So again, all this is happening at once. Because of the merger and the negotiations for the streaming rights all happening at the same time, the season 27 premiere of the show was delayed by 2 weeks to this past Wednesday, which was July 23rd. A happenstance that Parker and Stone were none too pleased with, as the show comments on topics happening very much in the present. So if you can imagine, when you're trying to create something that just happened and you're trying to comment on that, if you wait 2 weeks, it's not relevant, hence why you're here, right? Listening to this show. So when that happened, according to Variety, the official South Park X/Twitter account tweeted, the merger has been a blank show and it's messing up South Park, which obviously are things that we can't say on this channel, but not happy about what's going on. Then, in a response to an official press release from Comedy Central regarding the delay, the two creators stated, quote, "We are at the studio working on new episodes and we hope the fans get to see them somehow." So this was in the weeks leading up to the deal and the acquisition. But then a deal was reached, making both Stone and Parker millionaires, estimated at $1.2 billion each, which that's according to Forbes. So they got their payout, paying the pair $250 million each year and thrusting them into a company of TV royalty with the likes of Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Dick Wolf, and Jerry Seinfeld. I want us to imagine that. Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Dick Wolf, and Jerry Seinfeld make up this exclusive club of billionaires in the TV space, TV creators specifically. And they're now
Jerry Seinfeld, a billionaire in the TV space.
Yeah.
I just think that's a funny thing to.
But like, it makes sense when you think of Seinfeld, you think of the Oprah Winfrey Show, you think of Medea, you think of Law and Order. And then there's South Park.
Yep.
That's the company. Sorry, I had to harp on that for a second. That's again according to Forbes. All just craziness. So that happened. Again, Park, Stone thrust into the limelight unmatched before for their show. So all was well in the world, right? Skydance wins Paramount. Money's going everywhere. Paramount Plus gets a huge boost in the streaming wars. This is where you want to close the book if you're the Ellison family and Skydance, right off into the sunset. But that's until South Park season 27 premiered. And that's probably why you're here right now, because if you haven't heard, Parker and Stone cooked a lot. They came up with a lot. They were mad. They did not hold back. They were very upset with everything that had happened, and they let it show. If there's one group of people you don't make mad, it's probably the grandfathers of satire in the present day, and that is the creators of South Park. So in the episode, of which we cannot describe everything in detail for reasons you will soon see, we see a very hyperbolic take on President Donald Trump as he dodges certain in-the-moment questions about certain controversies that we will not be going into here. He threatens to sue anyone and everyone. He climbs into bed with the devil himself, unclothed, and you will just have to see the rest. That's where we stop our description here. We also see Jesus himself warning the kids of South Park about speaking out too loudly, pointing towards CBS, Paramount, and the canceling of Stephen Colbert's The Late Show. And where all that connects is CBS was sued by Donald Trump. They paid out, they didn't want to go through the legal process, so they just settled hundreds of millions of dollars. Then all of a sudden they turn around and they cancel one of their biggest talk show hosts' show, of which said talk show host is notoriously critical of said guy you just settled with. So does it look good? And then all of a sudden you're having the acquisition happening and all this fun stuff. And not to mention, David Ellison's dad is Larry Ellison, who owns Oracle, who, by the way, Larry Ellison is the second wealthiest man in the world. Guess who Larry Ellison's friends with?
Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff. No, the president.
Oh, I thought it was Jeff.
No.
Like the list guy.
No, not that guy. No.
I'm sure he knew him.
So now this is where we're at. This is where we're painting the picture here, okay? Guy that just sued the company that now, or technically the company, sued the company that just got bought, right? The guy that bought that, his son is best friends with the guy that just sued that company. And now the creators you just paid $1.5 billion to just made fun of him.
Yeah.
A lot of drama is happening here with just this unending saga that is this acquisition. So to round out what happened last week with this, the San Diego Comic-Con happened, of which Trey Parker and Matt Stone were in attendance, answering questions from fans. And they asked about the heat that came their way from certain members of our society. And Parker said, quote, "We're terribly sorry," which I'm sure you can imagine it was very sarcastic.
Like the cable guy, sorry?
Yeah. Not.
Those people who know South Park know what I mean by the cable guys and how they say sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That's how he answered it. And now here we are. Imagine everything I just painted, okay? All the drama with the lawsuits and all this. South Park will now air 10 episodes yearly for Paramount Plus and Comedy Central until 2030.
Yeah.
So now they're stuck with them. Anyway, all that to be said, I saw a comment come up from Emily, and I didn't have time to read it. So, Jake, if you saw it, let me know. But what do we think?
I happened to watch that episode of South Park, and I didn't see anything necessarily like horrible about it. I did not know this prior context though. I had no idea this was going on in the background. I did point out to the girlfriend before we watched it. I was like, "Well, what's it on?" Like, I thought it was on HBO because I was scrolling through HBO. I was like, "That's where I find South Park, and that's where you can still find season 1 through 26
Mm-hmm.
is on HBO Max." And she's like, "Oh, I think it's on Paramount." And I was like, "On Paramount?" It's never been on Paramount.
Yep.
And hopped over there. Had to, sorry, bro, if you're out there listening, which I haven't told him about this podcast, but if you ever do, I took your Paramount to watch it. The He's out there, he knows. But I didn't think it was like it's like a normal episode to me, but they were referencing things that I was like, oh, I didn't know that happened. I didn't know that happened either. And like it was a normal South Park episode if you knew what was going on. Um, Outside of the fact that they definitely made fun of Trump a lot, which is fine. They made fun of a lot of political figures a lot in the past, but it was the same joke.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the only really like thing that I had is, and but I mean, outside of that, if you have a problem with the not the podcast, if you have a problem with the podcast, email Ryan.
Oh
If you have
no!
a problem with South Park or this episode in particular, it really shows like what side you're on, I guess, politically, and so that's what I would watch out
Yeah.
for. Is if someone's really mad about either side of this, um, I don't think it like this is South Park. Like you're watching South Park, you can't get
They
mad at either side,
they
but.
don't
Um,
care.
if I had to critique this episode in particular, it's like, okay, we get it. Like he's not well endowed. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Um, and that's all I'll say about that. But I think it was more than 3 times. It was the same joke. It's like
Yeah.
okay, like, but outside of that, with this context, it makes sense why that episode was the way it was. I mean, it was just straight backhand, just ragging on them on Paramount and
Oh.
others.
Yeah, and again, we're not talking about this to be political. In fact, we're being very apolitical because South Park, they do not care.
No.
They've made fun
And
of
I
all
love that.
sides. Yeah.
I love that about them because I mean, if you can't laugh about it, then like
You're taking it too seriously.
you're taking it way too seriously,
Yeah.
man. Like it is not that deep. I promise.
Yeah.
So,
Something that I found interesting, and I think it's in Bloomberg is one of the sources that we used for this story. They were describing, if it's not them, it's Variety. They were describing how Parker and Stone have been ahead of the curve for so long with this stuff. And this rounds back to the whole like shenanigans with what we were discussing, the political nature of the most recent episode. In 2007, they actually worked with, now again, they own their rights and they've always come out on Comedy Central, which is owned by Paramount, which is why it was a big deal for Paramount to try to keep them at home. Is because historically that's where they've always come out on is some form of until 2019 until some form of Paramount owned asset, right? So in 2007, the two actually, and it's crazy to think about this about the South Park creators, but they were ahead of the curve. They beat the streaming wars because in the year of 2007, they partnered with some website to air episodes on like flash games, like that same type of software, and they split the royalties that way back when. And then the streaming wars started to happen in 2013, 2014. They actually hopped to Hulu first. They jumped to
yeah.
Hulu completely. Just, I mean, like it's weird that they beat these trends. And I say that to mean they have always just been themselves. And I'm not a South Park fan. And it's very interesting
Really?
to see. No, I've never sat and watched it. It's just never appealed to me that way. But it's odd to think that someone like Paramount, someone like South Park is the one setting all the trends. They're the ones with complete 100% control of our IP. They're the ones who hopped on the streaming platform, the streaming wars, and kind of ahead of the curve before anyone else, almost anyone else, really. They're the ones who got $1.5 billion to make fun of the president.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's like when you think about it, and they've been doing it. This is season 27, and we're still talking about South Park. So I could do nothing but give them their flowers, and I guess again it's like, hey, it's awesome that you're staying true to you. It's awesome that you have full creative control. It's awesome that you get to call the shots. And I see this and I just can do nothing but laugh because it's like the absurdity of this situation. Less
Right.
than a day after they got $1.5 billion, they said screw you everybody, and it's like, who does that? Them. They're
Them.
billionaires. They don't care.
Well, right. And uh we'll be there too. Just you wait. Episode 30 of season 27 be on the screen.
We're gonna do
We'll be
something
billionaires.
outlandish.
Yeah, we're going to be owned by Spotify or Podbean, or we're just going to jump around until we find one that'll pay us more
Yeah.
money.
It's crazy. And so I again, this I was writing this out and I was like, this needs just its own time. I actually cut a story so that we could talk more about this because of the absurdity that is everything South Park. So, any final thoughts on South Park before we get into our last story?
Um I don't think it's one of those things that you like need to jump in at the very beginning. Like you can jump in anywhere you want, that you'll automatically know what they're talking about, what they're referencing. And so if you wanted to get into South Park and you feel like it's just too much of a beast to get into, I mean, you can kind of watch it backwards if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Not really, but just jump in wherever you, I mean, even just the newer seasons, just start with season 25. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I would not, I think it's one of those intellectual things where watch it, see both sides, be able to make fun of both sides. I think that really says a lot about somebody if they can make fun of themselves.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think that is eloquently put. And I think that's a great way to move on past South Park. So, our next story, we have updates. And been a long time since we've talked about it. We haven't talked about it on this show, but anybody's talked about anything Friday the 13th. But we have a new film and video game in early development as of like this past weekend. We heard about it at the San Diego Comic-Con. So, what we do know about the Friday the 13th franchise is we are getting a prequel series to the Horror Legacy brand at A24 titled Crystal Lake. Horror Inc. Vice President Robbie Barsamian gave fans an exciting update into the future of the franchise as a whole while at the Comic-Con, and he really didn't give us a lot. He gave us just enough to get excited for if you are a fan of this franchise. So according to the media horror outlet Bloody Disgusting, he says, quote, I can tell you that a new sequel movie and a new sequel game are at the top of our list. It's where most of our energy's going right now. And I can tell you, finally, we're in a position to deliver on that. This would be the first installment into the film franchise since 2009's less than well-received Friday the 13th, and the first game since the 2017 PvP hit of the same name when it shuttered after developer Gun Media lost the rights to the franchise. He continued by stating that he wouldn't be naming any partners for either project at this moment, but he doubled down on the fact that they are both very real and they are happening. I know you're not a big horror fan, Jake, but did you ever play the game or did you watch the movies or do you look forward to more developments in this IP?
I watched Michael Myers. I only have seen the first Michael Myers. I have not seen
Which is not
Friday
Friday
the
the 13th.
13th. No, it's not.
Yeah.
But that's the only one, that is the only slasher like 80s level thing I've seen
Yeah.
ever. So I am not the subject matter expert here, but nor have I played any scary games. I don't like zombies. I don't like it puts me out of a lot of stuff, and or jump scares. Don't really care for those either. I just like Terraria. Or no,
Oh, yeah.
not
Oh,
really, not really. I didn't really like Terraria either. So,
big guy over
but
here doesn't even want to play Minecraft. I'll play Terraria.
no, I'd rather play Minecraft 100%. But Dead by Daylight and what's the other one? There's another one that's Dead by Daylight. I think is a zombie game though. I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but I don't. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna do. Who's making the video game?
They have not announced partners yet. So the vice president of I'm trying to remember, of Horror Inc., which I think is a conglomerate. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's what a great name
Yeah,
for a
right.
company.
But
Beyond the
this
Screen
dude,
Inc.
at San Diego Comic-Con said, "Hey, it's happening, but we will not name our partners." I guess it's too early. They
Okay.
probably haven't finished
Yeah.
negotiations. For me, I grew up watching, obviously, like I've talked about it on the show. I grew up watching horror films. There's something about the art of being able to scare people. It's like the idea of like, I know Jake, you laugh, but it's like the idea that like
Dude,
I feel the same way
never in
about
my life has Ryan scared me.
I feel I well one of my old roommates actually was like he stated I had the quietest feet ever, and so I just walk. He was very jittery though. I just walk around the house, he wouldn't hear me, and then he would just jump. So someone thinks I'm scary. But going back to Friday the 13th, I grew up watching the series, and again, I see the same thing as like with comedy. It's like the idea that you can make someone feel because like fear and laughter are like primal, and it's like if you can like get that out of somebody, you're doing something right. Like it's one thing to subjectively tell a story and someone to say I like it or I don't like it. But the thing about horror and comedy is you're either funny or you're scary or you're not. Yes, there's going to be that subjectivity, but if there are really scary movies that people don't like. Everyone can agree they're
Yeah.
scary. So it's like that's why I loved watching them growing up was because it was the idea of like how are they doing that? Like that's cool. Like how am I feeling this? Because it's like I know I'm safe. So it's like it's that idea is really cool. And Friday the 13th was one of those. It was like when especially when you're first getting into it as like an early teenager. It's like like the concepts of like the first Friday the 13th, it was actually Jason's mom. I think her name's Pamela. That was like she
Mhm.
was the one who was killing people, and Jason didn't make an appearance until the very end. And then that's
Mm.
what kicked off. But people thought the idea of this brooding, he's kind of a zombie, but he's kind of not. Like he drowned, but he didn't. There's really no explanation for what happened to him other than that he just kind of came back. I guess he would be considered a zombie, but I never took him as that. He's
No,
just,
I think he's supernatural level, not possessed, not ghost. I
yeah.
don't know. It was just a
What
very
I will say that the original reason why he drowned was because of a not so PG topic.
right.
He yeah, they essentially the counselors didn't care about him because he had some certain malformalities that they just said, "Oh, you're weird," even though he was like a normal kid and he couldn't swim and he was by himself. That's like what happened. So
Yeah.
but it's weird because like he was affected as if he drowned, but he didn't. Anyway, the point is, I'm excited because the last real film we had was again 2009, and that one's just terrible. I think the idea of Jason was there. The story was just so bad. It's like they tried too hard to be the original from the 70s, and it just wasn't. It's not even that it wasn't original because it's again it's a remake, but it's just like it just wasn't really well thought out. It was like the only thing that when they were writing the script, the only thing they thought about were the kills. And while that works in some instances, it didn't for this one. And in terms of the game, I'm really excited about the game because I have so many fond memories. So if you didn't play the Friday the 13th, the video game, there was no, I don't remember there being a story mode. I don't think there was, but it was like matchmaking. One player played as Jason and the others were counselors trying to escape. So it was like, it was kind of like Dead by Daylight in a sense now that you reference it. That's actually a good reference because it's like you're running from one major like villain and
I
you're
didn't know if I got that right.
you did. That is actually a good call to because it's like it is technically what it is. So
It
it's like
is.
you have to get gas for the car and you have to like fix the
Yeah.
tire or whatever. You had like you can pick you at the time you could pick up like firecrackers or pocket knives and if he grabbed you, if the player playing Jason grabbed you, you could use them to escape his clutches. Because if you didn't, he was gonna kill you, right? Like your character, you were done. So like
Yeah.
it was really fun when you played it with your friends. Like I have some really fond memories, and it sucks because they just shuttered it. Like the gun media lost the rights and they just stopped. And so you cannot play it. It doesn't exist as a like if you owned it, the game, and you try to sign in now, it would just tell you that it doesn't exist, which is terrible. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm hoping that whatever they do with the new game, it's something similar to the 2017 game because that was so unique and so cool. And I'm hoping it's made by in part by the owners of said rights so that it won't just go away. But yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm the biggest Jason Voorhees fan. Like I like the series as a part of my fandom entirely, not specifically just that series. So I'm excited to see it continue. I hope that they do something. I guess now I will say more original. I hope they do something unique with it instead of just the same again. Because you could tell the same story again and again and just focus on the kills. But that's why 2009 didn't work out. So I'm interested to see if they connect it. I don't think they will, but will they connect it to the A24 prequel series? Who knows? But I would be very interested to see where they go with it and what they do to make it new.
Ryan prefers Jason versus Predator
Huh?
and Alien.
I like Alien.
But Jason, the Jason versus series.
Jason, that was Alien versus Predator. Jason did Freddy.
No,
Jason fought Freddy.
No, there was a Jason versus Predator.
I don't think so.
Dude, come on.
I don't remember. I actually did watch the Freddy versus Jason, and I thought that was pretty unique.
Was there not one?
But that one was another one that was done pretty bad.
Yeah, there was. This is a thing.
I don't know. I've not seen that one.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a bunch of nerds talking about who would win.
That probably is it. I think the Predator would win. We're not going to get into that conversation because
buddy, I don't know.
Bro, I know a lot about the Predator franchise too.
Okay, but supernatural entity alien. That's it.
The Predators are the epitome of hunting. That's what they are.
But he's supernatural. He's literally unkillable.
He has tech that can make him go invisible, and a sniper, like a laser cannon that can shoot off his shoulder.
But that don't mean Jason ain't supernatural.
I'm so scared of Jason Voorhees when he's just a skull on the ground. I'm so sorry. He has no body to be spoken of. All right, I'm not getting in this debate because anyway. We'll go ahead and move on. That's the conclusion of our second segment. What a way to end film news for our second segment.
Rage baiting Ryan.
We got one more segment to go through. So, coming up after the break, Clayface story details, the first look at the Fire and Ash trailer, and what you should know before you go. Coming up next. Hello and welcome back. I have decompressed. I have relaxed after Jake rage baited the Jason versus Predator. We always start our third segment by thanking you for being here because again, you're about an hour in and you are enjoying us babble about whatever. We got into the hypothetical of Jason Voorhees versus the Predator. Predator would win, but.
Yep.
I appreciate you guys being here. We love you, and go follow the Beyond the Screen YouTube channel. If you like what you like here, again, if you're on Spotify, you probably don't care, but you should definitely subscribe to the visual medium on our YouTube because it does help out a lot. Go to our new channel, hit subscribe, like. If there's moments you enjoyed previously, they're all there. All the episodes, we're not just dumping and leaving our episodes here. All of our episodes that we had previously are already over there, so hit the like, subscribe, clip your favorite moments on the new channel, and let us know what you like to go back and revisit the most if you do go back and revisit. But after August 11th, again, I want to specify, after August 11th, there will be no new episodes here on Hollow Moon. It'll be all exclusively on the Beyond the Screen podcast YouTube channel. So we thank you. We love you. Like, subscribe, follow, hit that bell, do your thing. And again, thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and get into our third segment. We're going to start in DC as their upcoming horror film Clayface has its story revealed, or at least hinted to. So, recently, up-and-coming Welsh actor Tom Rhys-Harries was announced to lead the horror adaptation of Clayface at DC Studios. And after table reads in England, it is now reported that Mickey 17 and Blink Twice actress Naomi Ackies, is in early talks to join the project in an unspecified role, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Written by horror icon Mike Flanagan, the story thus far has been described as resembling David Cronenberg's 1986 hit and Jeff Goldblum starring body horror The Fly, in which we witness scientist Seth Brundle, who is Goldblum, as he attempts to test his new invention, a teleportation machine, on himself, unknowingly splicing his own DNA with that of a housefly once the measly insect slips into the machine while in use. What follows is his bodily transformation from man to insect, all covered by local journalists sent to report on his work with the teleportation machine. So that is what people are saying this is like, is The Fly. And according to the Hollywood Reporter, quote, as a last resort, this is what the story is going to be itself. As a last resort, the actor turns to a fringe Elizabeth Holmes-style scientist for help. At first, the experiment is a success, but what can you imagine from a body horror? Like this, things will go wrong. The film currently has a release date for September 11th, 2026. How do we feel about one of the next entries into the new look DCU. This is going to be like the third film in the new DCU. So, what do we think?
Um, I'm still looking forward to this. I don't care for the body horrors, but because it's within the Batman universe, I think it's going to be a great take on Clayface.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to muster go into it. I don't know. Um, I can't tell if Ryan's supposed to be talking or not.
No, no, I was
Maury.
waiting. I was
Okay,
waiting.
sorry. Um,
I was waiting for you to
but
finish.
I'm pretty finished. I don't know. I need to start seeing some concept footage or some trailers for it before I get really deep into an opinion about it. I look forward to seeing those things. It intrigues me on this body horror thing because how real are they going to make it look? Like
Yeah.
Clayface is supposed to be uh in most iterations he's large, he's like
Mm-hmm.
made out of clay. His natural form is just a clay monster,
Mm-hmm.
and he can take form of people, but uh I don't know. Look forward to it.
Yeah, I also very much look forward to it. Body horror is kind of a hit or miss for me because it's like I like this is gonna sound so like I when I watch movies, like I feel like I put myself in them. So I don't even really like slashers. That's been on the record here many times, and it's because like I almost like imagine what that would feel like, and I don't like doing that, right? So it's like horror films are one thing when it's like you know you have your slasher killer and it's not really realistic, and it's like okay like that was original, that was unique, but it's like when it's like real body horror, it's like ugh, it's like it gets gross, right? Like that's the point,
Yeah.
and it gets to a point that's like ugh. So I am interested because this is a comic book iteration. I guess I should say like adaptation. So I would be interested to see how far into the body horror they go. I know James Gunn has been very explicit about, hey, we're doing different. We are different. There's going to have its own full fledged genre. It's not going to feel like one movie over and over again, which is I think is like cool. But it's also like, how
Yeah.
far do you actually take that? Because if it's a comic book movie, you know people are going to show up expecting Marvel, regardless if you've said that on the record or not. So I wonder if that will make James Gunn and Safran pull back a little bit. I wonder if they're going to go like, or are they going to go too far over the deep end trying to be different? So I think there's a lot of room for this to be problematic. In terms of the subject matter, I think Clayface is perfect for this because he's arguably terrifying, right? Like
Right.
Clayface, while he is big, I think like his character can shrink down and like metamorphize into like different people and be at their size. So he can do that. So
Yeah.
it would just be interesting, like what I would be interested in, and this isn't necessarily a horror, like this isn't in that realm per se, but like I love the idea of like this guy, he is, you know, his face was deformed, and that's something that I missed in here. Uh he actually was deformed by like he face abnormality from an attack from a gangster in the story. So he gets an injury and he was an actor, and so he goes to this doctor or the scientist to fix him, and that's how he becomes Clayface. The idea that he can't necessarily recreate his own face is interesting to me. Like he can be anybody he wants but himself, and so it's like that would be that dynamic of like mentally it's like that's why he does what he does because he feels like he doesn't have anything else and he just desperately wants to get back to who he was before but he can't. That would be a really interesting story.
Right.
Will it go that route? I don't know. I think that they will just say scary, like he's changing form, and then he'll just become a villain because he has the power. But I would love
Yeah.
the idea that like the one thing he wants is what he can't become, but he can literally be anyone else, and that's why he feels compelled to be Clayface.
I would actually, that's probably best case scenario is to have it deeper than just I'm evil because I can be, and I steal money because I want to.
Yeah.
Um Not necessarily Dr. Freeze, I think is an interesting character
Yeah.
because of the wife. Um and
Nor
he has to,
Nora.
yeah, Nora, he has to um do the things he does to one, stay alive, but also to keep her alive
Yeah.
and to find a cure. So
Yeah.
he's always actively trying to find a cure, and that was always a point to like Batman. And it's like, hey, what if you just cured her? And I think he does in some universes. Is Batman actually does cure Nora, and then Mister Freeze is a good guy after he serves his time.
Mm-hmm. I think that was in the
So
animated series, actually, is it, and that's what Gunn seems to be pulling from a lot. I don't know. I'm telling you, dude. I have a really strong suspicion that Batfleck, or not Batfleck, sorry, Battinson
Pattinson.
is going to be in the DCU. I think that's why it took. There's too much going on, and this is why I say this is because any other DC type stuff we've seen has been really dark, a lot like Matt Reeves' Batman, and I just want this is again this goes back to why body horror. Like we're talking about this, we're having this discussion. Why do you pivot to a body horror? Why do you keep it so dark if you're not going with that? But that's not the only reason. Think about how long it took Matt Reeves to write the sequel.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about If the Brave and the Bold, which was supposed to be James Gunn's take on Batman. Why, like, why haven't we heard anything about it? Did it get canceled? Why is it pushed back? If this is supposedly, and Gunn has gone out of his way to say this, and I think he kind of put his foot in his mouth when he said it because I think he let more go than he should have. He has said that Wonder Woman and Batman are two of their like cornerstones. They want to establish them sooner rather than later. But he's not talking about Batman, and he's talking a lot about Wonder Woman. And I wonder why. Because I really think that and the reason Reeves was taking so long to craft a story was because Gunn was like, hey, actually, I think I want him in the DCU, and you need to fit a story that makes sense. And the thing is, and my final piece of evidence outside of the dark theme with other Batman characters in Clayface, with the time that it took, with the comments versus the actions from James Gunn in the Superman movie, it is circling the web right now, and I need to watch it again, like at home, like Superman, to confirm this because I'm not going back to the theaters a third time to see it. But supposedly, when Superman is fighting the kaiju in the middle of Metropolis, and now remember this place that they're fighting is like downtown New York. So it's like imagine like the screens everywhere just on the street side, right? One of the screens, and people have taken screenshots of it, it's a news report about Gotham being underwater. What happened at the end of the
Yep.
Batman?
Oh.
Hmm.
It was underwater.
That's real weird for you to put that in your film and
Yeah.
not have it be connected. And people everywhere are like, Matt Reeves and James Gunn said it wasn't. It's like, okay, it's not like Kevin Feige ever lied to you, right? You know what I mean? Like,
You ever been lied to?
have you ever been, not the
You
first
ready?
time someone's lied to your face about being in a movie. Andrew Garfield, right? Like, the guy just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
He can't lie worth a
But you know what
dang.
I mean, though. It's like I see all
Yeah.
this stuff, and it's like the more I see and the more we pay attention to this stuff, I'm like James, I bet you Robert Pattinson's gonna be in your DCU. I can almost taste it just because it's just so like I'm there. I've done a lot of investigative reading here, and which just means I've Googled it. But like I have a strong suspicion that that's where we're headed.
All right. All right. I don't know if I disagree. I kind of hope you're right.
Put that
Um,
in the bin of conspiracy theories from
well,
me.
and I've seen the same as what you've seen. The conspiracy theorists. I've also seen some people who are arguing it with a little bit more, I guess, a logical take. Not only because it was shown in Superman, but also think about how polar opposite they are,
Yeah.
Superman and Batman. That's the whole point. That there's a comic, and I forget which one it is, but it's where Superman and Batman talk about each other, and why they do what they do, or why the other one thinks they do what they do, and they both talk themselves up. One because Clark Kent has these powers and he could destroy the world, but he doesn't. And that's why Batman holds him to high regard. But Superman holds Batman to high regard because he came from nothing and is now, or no, he lost his parents, had this all, and he could be a very
Mhm.
evil person, and he's not. He chooses to be the way he is with no powers. And that is why Superman holds him in high regard.
Yeah.
And so it is the exact opposite of why they like each other, but also they come from very different backgrounds. And it's likely they won't like each other to begin with, in Brave and the Bold, if those two are who we see. Um, it's it's going to be hard with two Batmans if it's two separate actors at the same time,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think, as well.
if they make an official casting for Gunn, then obviously Pattinson's out. But it just, and
Yeah.
that strip is such a powerful strip, and I'm happy it's making it's the waves online because it's so true. And I want to make sure that something's clarified about that strip is that they were talking about each other, not themselves.
Right.
They were describing Batman was describing Superman to Catwoman, and Superman was describing Batman to Lois Lane, and it was like the idea of like they both feel like they had no choice but to become who they are, but they both recognize in each other that it was everything, like they had every choice and they still did, which makes them equally amazing that they are the way they are. And
Yeah.
it's funny to see them be so similar in that respect because again, you pointed out the differences in them, but at the end of the day, they both feel like they had no choice but to be who they are, and they respect it in the other, the other's choice in it, and not them in of themselves, which is very very interesting.
I have also seen Henry Cavill being rumored to also be Batman.
I don't mind it. That's fine.
I've seen that too, and I've seen the side by side because somebody was like, in the animated they look the exact same because of the art style, but
Yeah. I
but they look the exact same, and Cavill and Cornsweat, look, and it's like a side by side that totally proves their point, but it was a cherry picked photo for both.
Right. I like the idea of Cavill just because I feel like Cavill is so serious in his acting that like I mean you saw him as Wolverine, which is a very serious character, and he looked great. I feel like you put the cowl on him and he'll look great. Like I trust him as an actor, and with the IP, he will understand the character so deeply because he's also a nerd. So it's like
Yeah,
I saw it from that stance. It was like that actually be kind of sick. But then I saw that like people were like they look the exact same in the cartoon. I was like, okay, that's a reach. Like that's just the art style, dude. They
yeah.
didn't want to draw a completely different person, so they just drew a second one with glasses and one not. You know, when Batman's got the cowl on, you don't got to worry about it. That's 90% of the animated episode. But when he's got it off, you really going to draw something super different when you don't have to? No. I think that was
Which
just a cost saving move.
it is funny when they switch roles and Superman dresses
That
up
is
like
pretty
Batman
funny. Yeah.
and is kicking the crap out of the bad guys, and they're like, holy crap,
Yeah.
Batman's huge. And like Robin's
Guarantee
got to tell him to tone it down.
guarantee that happened because the animators were like, "Hey guys, remember how they look the exact same? Wouldn't it be hilarious if?" And then that's why that came out. But
Yeah.
I promise you that's not how that happened originally. They did not show up. They did not mean for them to be the exact same like caricature. They just did it because it made sense financially or it was easier on them. And then they said, "Oh, hey, that'd be a funny storyline." Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I,
likely.
Cavill, yes, not for that reason, but I think it's going to be Pattinson. I
Okay.
really do. If Pattinson gets a Robin in this next, then the Brave and the Bold is literally Batman and Robin. That's the whole point of the story. If Pattinson gets a Robin, or at least hints at getting a Robin or whatever, I'm gonna be like, I know what you're doing. Like I have a feeling I already do, but we'll see. Any final thoughts on Clayface?
Uh, Not Clayface. I'd like to applaud Pattinson's generational run from Twilight to now. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. We
I took it
officially
out
get
of
our
his mouth.
first look at the Ash Clan and James Cameron's upcoming third installment into the Avatar series after trailer leaks online. And yes, we know the trailer has since come out today. But as of writing this, it was really funny. So we're talking about the trailer being leaked before it was released. So, much like Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, James Cameron and Disney's Avatar Fire and Ash trailer released exclusively to theaters ahead of Marvel's Fantastic Four First Steps, and I had big air quotes for our audio listeners. If you remember the outcome of said release for Nolan, you might feel some deja vu, and as not shockingly, the trailer was immediately leaked online. Though, unlike Universal, Disney is doing everything, or was doing everything in its power to keep the trailer on the down low, striking them almost as fast as they were being uploaded. For those who've been able to see the trailer, however, they have high praise for the quick look. According to The Hollywood Reporter, fans are raving about the footage. Some fans exclaim that the film has, quote, some of the best footage I've seen all year, and I was struck by the real sense of doom and rage. Others stated the trailer started out as meh, more of the same, and ended up with, yup, another billion to James Cameron. So, we'll see a little bit of it here in a second, but in the trailer, we see lead characters Jake Sully, Neytiri, and their family as they are introduced to new Na'vi tribes such as the Wind Traders and the Ash Clan, the latter of which is the main villain of the story. We also see the return of longtime villain Miles Quaritch in what looks to be Ash Clan red and black war paint. So it'd be interesting to see him flip completely against to now kind of conspiring with some other tribes against the Sully family. While there are a ton of other details, they are only supplementary. And again, you'll probably see some here in a second. So we won't go into too deeply into what the trailer consists of because you could just go watch it as well. But Jake, what do you think about not just the trailer that it leaked, maybe some of the story? Give me your thoughts.
So I'm gonna call the story as I see it. Um, Ash Clan sympathetic to the humans' cause because of jealousy, because nothing grows in the Ashlands volcano area. Um, you'll see if you. I think it might be included in our cut of the trailer, but go watch it on YouTube. If not, that the I don't know if she's the tribe leader or who, but outright says like your goddess has no claim here or something like that within the trailer, and so which leads me to believe their their goddess, which is that like how do I put it? Like there's those little jellyfish that they say are very connected. They're all very in tune with the planet
Mm-hmm.
and through the nature, and their what is it called? The ponytails are
Yeah, I can't remember the exact name for it, but yeah, their hair was like wasn't hair. It was like an appendage that you could
yeah,
connect to other creatures.
and you could I guess technically be in tune with them. You can ride them and things like that. And that is the main way to tame a beast on this planet. And it is likely that the Ash clan has none of that and has grown to resent the other clans. And so it is that is why I think they would side with the humans, either through a false deal that the humans have lied and said they would get, um, I guess, the planet to themselves, or be promised to live better than they are.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue because all they have is fire, ash, and a volcano. So they're looking for more, and I think that's why they're fighting um,
Yeah, I
main characters.
something that's interesting about the and I hate to call it hair because there's a name for it, but like you know what I mean, is when they connect with the animal, it's like a physical representation of like the spiritual connection between like and I say spiritual, but like that unspoken connection between a human or a person and the animal that they love, regardless of what it is, right? Like when you understand an animal and an animal understands you, like I have cats. A lot of people have dogs. Other people have horses. That is there's such a strong connection there, and I love and that's I know that's not necessarily on top. Like I guess it technically is topic, but I love that idea because if that was stripped, would that make some Nave resentful?
Right.
Which is that's a interesting take on that, and I hope that's how it is because it'd be I just don't know because his Quaritch, if at the end of the second, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened because like I know he technically wasn't a part of like he didn't necessarily go back to his army, did he? Because did he
I
like he
thought
was
yeah
did he?
in the trailer he is shown back with the humans.
Okay, so maybe he did. I'm having a tough time remembering the end of the sequel. Oh, another fun fact about the third. The sequel is 3 hours and 12 minutes long, and Cameron apparently said that the third is going to be a bit longer.
Oh, I already had to pee
Yeah. So
through well Way of Water did not help
yeah,
the
right.
bathroom situation.
Do
Too much
not
water.
drink or eat anything before going and watching this
Yeah,
film.
yeah, actually like empty before going in.
I hope they add an intermission.
I've seen it. I sent that to you.
Yeah,
Well,
that
remember
was
when we were talking about that? I don't know if I ever
it
mentioned to
was
you.
it yeah, you
The
did.
Brutalist
Yeah.
had an intermission of a few minutes. It
Yeah.
was very interesting the way they did it because they actually had a graphic that counted down on the screen.
They should do that with this, especially the longer ones. I'm all for the longer films, but you got to give something back to the audience if you do that. Anyway, back to Avatar. I this is just so close to like the last Airbender that I'm like, and
Yeah.
I know everyone makes that joke, but that I'm very excited for the third installment, but also it's like wind, fire, earth. Like if we get an Earth
We see
Clan,
flying machines.
I know if we see Earth Clan pop up, I'm gonna be like, dog, James.
I thought they were Earth Clan.
I guess technically that's what they are. You know what I mean? Like in Avatar: The
Yeah.
Last Airbender, like they like
Yeah.
physically can
Yeah.
like use
Yeah.
the Force and move rocks and stuff. I guess technically you're right. I guess Neytiri and Jake are technically Earth. I never thought about it that way.
Uh,
I just thought they were like vanilla. I thought they were just like the original, so they didn't have any powers. But I guess they would be Earth, wouldn't
we're,
they?
we're getting into like race war here stuff now,
No,
man. Like,
no, no, no. It's
yeah,
not like
I
that.
thought they
It's
were like the base.
not what I said.
I was like,
Not what I said. But
okay,
okay.
all right.
Absolutely not what I said.
Anyway,
But I just never
it is
realized
odd.
them as like Earth. But that is a good point. I guess
Yeah,
they would
but
technically.
we do see flying machines, and I hope they don't just like. I mean, how many more of these films we got left? You
A
probably don't.
lot.
We get 5, right?
Yeah, I think
We have
5 or
there's
6.
5 total,
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
and this is 3. So it's like, oh my gosh, what could possibly be next? Because I've took a guess at this next movie and what it's going to be about, but until I'm given anything to go off of, I have no idea where he could take it. Because how many times are we going to bring back this? Now I've lost it.
Talk about Jake
The
Sully.
main, the
Sam
main
Ellington.
antagonist.
Sam Ellington.
Yes,
Oh, the
like
antagonist. Sorry.
the antagonist.
I can't
Yeah,
think of his name. But I know who you're
you
talking
had
about.
it written here, and I completely scrolled by it. I
The
thought you had it on here.
character's name is
Colonel
Miles.
Miles
Yeah, Quaritch.
Quaritch. So he's been brought back. He died.
Yeah.
Jake Sully, spoilers, first movie, killed him. Knife in the chest. Big one, big knife, big
Yeah.
old robot knife. And they brought him back as a avatar or yeah. So
Nave.
as a Navi character. So and then proceed in the second one to also try to kill him and drown him. And then spoiler, his son is in the second movie, saves him.
Yeah.
Now we have him in the third. How many times is this guy going to keep coming back? Because if it was just the Fire Clan, all right, cool. That's just like a conflict and likely a big bad within within the planet. But now we still have the human element too, and I don't think that's going to go away.
I love that Cameron took the comic book philosophy in which if you saw them die, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
They're not dead. I'm interested, is what I'll say. Obviously, how can you not be?
Right.
I think they took a really long time to develop these 4 films for a reason. I just, if one of them is bad, it completely taints the entirety. This is Cameron's magnum opus. Think about how long James Cameron's been doing this as a filmmaker. Before he got to Avatar, he was already considered one of the best of all time. We are just now at the tail end of his career getting to his magnum opus. If one of them, because it took so long to develop, is bad, there it goes. So I'm very nervous, is I guess how I'll put it.
Cannot. I'm gonna say he's gonna live for a while, but he's 70 years old, Ryan.
Yeah.
He
older than that.
he better. No, he's 70 flat.
Oh, really? I thought he was older than that.
I'm just saying, it's like he better be churning these next 2 films out in the next 10 years.
I think they happen in the next 5. I think it goes 28, 27 or 28, then 20, 30 or 31.
Because I mean, 70 is kind of like that tipping point where, especially for men, if we want to get into the science part of it, is like you hit 70 and it's kind of like could be any day.
Tough luck, champ.
Tough luck, champ. Like women are more closer to 80, but like the guys, I mean, Cameron's there. That's why I'm saying, it's like, let's hope you have some processes in place, man.
But
because
dude's not slowing down. So he's got these 2, and he's wanting to adapt the 2. I cannot remember the author's name, but 2 books about the bombing of Japan. One's called Ghost of Hiroshima, and the other called Train to Hiroshima. These 2 books, he's wanting to adapt them, and he's what? Wait, when do you have time? Like, when are you going to do that?
Yeah. Is that were we talking about this outside of the podcast where he said that Oppenheimer?
Yes, this was him.
Yeah, and he said that he chickened out. Sorry, the name escapes me. The director of Oppenheimer,
Nolan.
Yeah, Nolan chickened out with showing Hiroshima being bombed. If
Yeah,
you didn't show it, I'm gonna do it.
something to that effect. And it's like, first off, that's a crazy thing to say about Oppenheimer. And two, it's like,
Yeah.
when do you have time? Because supposedly, from what I had read, he had said that
And
like,
where'd you get a nuclear bomb?
yeah, Nolan got them all. Yeah, but like, I don't know. It's like from what I had been reading is that like it's supposed to come up when his Avatar schedule like lightens up, but also like I think he had gone out on a limb and said that the shooting for the rest of the movies had almost already been done. They had gotten a
Yeah.
ton of it all at once, so it's not like and they did that because the actors are going to age out. So they got them the majority of the footage for the next 4 movies, which is nuts. Like already, and they're just doing the final touches throughout the next however many years, and that's why his schedule will be filled up, or will be opened up, I should say, to fill up with the other 2 films he's wanting to do. But man, it's like he's just not slowing down, and it makes you worry. It's like if one of these films don't succeed in the Avatar franchise, that there goes his magnum opus. Now, I don't just mean succeed in monetarily, I mean story wise, because the first two are pretty good.
Right. Uh, one of them's bound to flop, right?
Yeah, I hope not.
Statistically,
I hope not.
statistically, of 5,
You took a 12-year break to write
I don't know,
4
man.
stories, dude. Figure it out. Like, I think he'll be fine. It's James Cameron. I have faith.
After the third one, I don't know. What could the story possibly be, dude?
It does feel like
What
a
could it
good wrapping up
possibly
point.
be? I mean, number 5, they got to kick the people off the planet and then never come back. But
Oh, it's gonna blow up. Pandora's gonna cease to exist, probably.
Jesus Christ.
You said that, and you're so right. That's how it's gonna end. Is Pandora's just not gonna be a thing anymore? That's a prediction.
It's either that or they can kick the humans off and live there happily ever after. Is Cameron a happily ever after kind of guy?
Bro directed Titanic.
That was happy-ish.
No, it was not. I mean, I guess Jack didn't
Okay.
exist. Sorry. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and move on.
Fit.
He couldn't fit. Anyway, we'll move on past our major news, and we're going to get into our trailer segment. We have 4 trailers here for you, kind of giving you a quick sneak peek, and we'll talk about it. So we're going to start with Predator Badlands. Then we're going to go to the much discussed, as you've heard already, Avatar Fire and Ash. Go on to Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and wrap up with the trailer for Peacemaker Season 2. So we're going to start with Badlands.
So this is your first hunt. And you've come to the most dangerous planet in the universe.
You looked at that
Whoa.
thing. You looked at that thing. You said it could be Jason.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because he's supernatural.
Okay.
And I saw a whole lot of getting beat on by plants and drug around.
Did you not hear what she said, dog?
And Robot Lady had to save him.
Isn't that Ellie Fanning? Is that who that is?
I believe so.
She
She
literally
was in Star Wars.
literally said, "You came to the most dangerous planet ever." And the story is that Predator is like a youth. He's like not trained
He was
yet.
outcast. Read the synopsis.
Sorry. Go ahead. No, you read. You go ahead. You wrote it. Go ahead.
A young predator outcast from his clan finds an unlikely ally on his journey in search of the ultimate adversary.
Yay! That was great.
So he's outcast because that's what predators do, right? Though, like they outcast him on a planet to kill whatever beast.
Thrill
prove your
of
worth.
the hunt. Yeah.
Yeah, prove your worth. Kill the most dangerous beast on this planet or something like that. But anyway, yeah, I don't think that this synopsis paints it correctly. Like that is the culture of, I don't know the actual name of the species, but the culture of predators. They will outcast the young on a planet, tell it to find the biggest thing, or they already know of the most dangerous thing on that planet, and they tell it to go kill it. And if they don't win, they die, and they weren't worthy of being in the culture. And it's a constant finding something else. I mean, the whole point is for them to die in battle. That's like
Yeah.
their best thing ever. They get off on that thing. So They do. So Arnold said so.
He did.
Not really. Uh, so I don't know if it's gonna do really well. I don't foresee it being like the most anticipated film. I don't think it is. It's not a Fantastic Four, but I think I saw some people hating on the first trailer that came out for it, or saw hating on the concept images, or not even concept, just like images that were leaking of the film. I don't think a lot of people liked it. I also think, doesn't he talk? Doesn't the Predator talk?
I think he does. Yeah, which is weird.
I don't know if it's English. I saw that in the trailer he spoke, and it was in his language, and it had subtitles. But I swear I saw him speaking English, which was odd. But I don't know if that's true.
I wonder if that's so. And I want to make sure it is Ellie Fanning. Ellie Fanning's character, she's a cyborg from the Alien franchise, which is interesting. Keep that in mind, or at least suspected. I'm pretty sure she is. But if she's a cyborg, in theory, she could probably understand his language, and that's probably where that's coming from.
Cyborg or
I think she's an android, not cyborg. Sorry, I misspoke there. Yeah, she's an android. So if she can understand however many languages, it's probably from her perspective. That's probably why. Which
gotcha.
I can forgive that. I also when you were talking about like, oh, I don't know the creature name, I was thinking the exact same thing because it's something weird and I couldn't remember it. Yautja is what they're called. Yautja.
The predator species.
Yeah, the Yautja.
Sorry. I don't know. It'll be cool-ish. It'll be fun, but I don't think it's gonna be crazy. It'll be top 5 for a week or 2, maybe 3. Especially, I don't know what it's coming out with. That will be a telltale.
Yeah, it comes out in November.
But it looks intriguing. I like the fact that we might see some new weapons. So, and I don't know when this takes place based on other movies. Like, are they advancing as a species with better weapons now? Because that, like, it's like a laser bow that I don't think we got to see in the original Predator movie. It was more tech and wrist launcher and knives, and like exploding blades and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't. That's what more intrigues me is understanding the culture of the Predator, and I think that's what this movie was kind of set out to do, was to see the other side.
Of course,
you're now sympathetic to a Predator who's the protagonist and goes through a journey of self-realization and hardship.
It's an interesting follow-up to Prey, which was Batchenberg's original. This is the same director that did Prey is now doing Badlands, and so it is interesting to see him flip that, which makes future iterations, when we go back to the perspective being of humanity or whatever, when you see that, it makes it more interesting because you now know exactly what the villain is going through, which you don't get a lot of. I mean, obviously it comes around like why they're doing what they do, but like in that sense, I'm intrigued.
And I really hope it doesn't make him to be like the flip of a villain to being a good guy. I still wanted to keep that, like, I'm going to go kill other species because like that's my culture. I don't want it to be like, oh, he's a good guy, he's now a pacifist, because that's not.
That would ruin it.
No, it would ruin it. And we've seen that before in other movies, not even in this genre, but just like the villain switch, even in like, they escape me now. Any example always escapes me right when I think about it. Emily saying Megan.
Yeah, that's a great example.
It is. I'm thinking like, who do we see in like the MCU or
Loki?
Loki.
Yeah, Loki's a big one.
But it's just like they're so much of a villain in the movie, and then they get a TV show and they're
Winter Soldier had a roundabout turnaround like that. Bucky Barnes. I mean, I
could understand that one with the brainwashing.
Right, of course. But like, he's one that did do that. Like, yeah, he started out as Bucky, but then when you first see him as Winter Soldier, he was obviously there's a whole film about his villainy. So,
sorry, I'll find one. But moving on.
Yeah. So next, we're gonna go over and give you a sneak peek of Fire and Ash.
goddess has no dominion here.
Again, every time I mean, like, there's just every time I watch that trailer, there's a sense of like I cannot wait to get back to Pandora. Like I'm excited to get back to that world, which is why I emphasized earlier, man, he can't have one flop because this is perfect right now. Jake, what do you think about the now that we've seen it? We've talked a little bit about it, so I don't want to harp on it too long. But what did you think?
Breathtaking as always, a billion to Cameron. No, direct quote. So beautiful. I mean, what else can you say about? I mean, the landscapes and the choreography, and it's like, man, they has it peaked in the animation? Like, because when it came out, 2008, it was
9, yeah.
already insane, and it took hours to render a frame or two or something like that, right? Or
Mhm.
several minutes at least per
Mhm.
frame, which is insane, but well worth it. Now I hope he's doing a whole lot better in rendering his films.
Yeah.
But is stunning as always. But I feel like I can nail down that storyline, and I can't. I think they're gonna have to bring the Colonel back, or at least keep him alive all the way through 5, and I hate that. I just want it to be a new guy,
But
a
then
new
but then that
general, a new big
but
bad.
that's not the
Why?
story. You know, like then
It's
but
not.
that's not the story. So I understand, but I do worry about that too.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point to go ahead and move on because again, we've talked about this for so long. So the third trailer we have for you guys is Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
There's no way that'll work.
They're out there, Mike.
Where?
Everywhere.
Where are you gonna run to? I'm not done with you.
I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, like, just I know, just quick, just but
Oh yeah.
something that I'm really excited about is like when Hutchison pulls up the Fazbear mask. That is a mechanic from the game.
Yeah,
That is
that's why I
straight.
put that in there. And the flashlight looking down the hallway and
Yeah,
him at the desk, like all of that, even the monster in the grate
yeah,
is like all of that is straight from the video game.
which is so cool. Like that is
Yeah,
so like
and it looks tasteful the way they did it.
yeah, yeah.
So
And the line of like when again when Hutchison's like there's no way this will work. That was everyone's thought in the game when you first put the thing on. You're like, what? You know, like everyone did that, but it became it's such a rooted thing in the sequel game in Five Nights at Freddy's 2
right,
that it's like it's freaky. Like when you do it, when you're in the middle of it, you finally understand in the game when you're playing through it why it's a thing is because seeing them through the eye holes and having to hold it up for a certain amount of time correctly, right? It's like it's scary. So I'm excited to see how they continue to pull these dynamics from the game and into the film series. But also, there's only so much story you can divulge from the games too. The games, a lot of the story comes from like fans picking apart things that the developer hid. So
yeah,
how are they going to tell those things without being too on the nose, without being like too? Because if you don't give people enough breadcrumbs, they will lose interest. So that
right.
again, continuing from the first one, I'm interested to see how they continue to do that.
And I did think about one that a villain who was portrayed as a villain in prior iterations is now. It was Cruella de Vil in
Oh,
Emma Stone's movie, where she was now a good person and didn't kill puppies. And you're supposed to. I'm that lady kills puppies. You cannot make me like her.
she has her whole cowl is like Dalmatian skin.
But that movie made her out to be the protagonist, and I'm not gonna get
Yeah,
into it, but like that particular movie with Emma Stone in it made out Cruella de Vil to be a protagonist, and she is not a good person
yeah,
from all the other movies. And then another one is Boba Fett, but they just did him a disservice and not making him as gritty and as hardened and as good at what he was supposed to. He's a bounty hunter for the Empire, right hand to Darth Vader. He
yeah.
should have been wiping the floor with a lot of those people. But those are the two examples that I could come up with right
Yeah.
off the get. Anyway, Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm excited. I watched that when it hit streaming almost immediately. Girlfriend wanted to watch it, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed the first one. So this second one, um, I'm not sure how to feel. I guess about it's a new location.
Mm.
I believe it's a chain. So they actually have a new location, and I don't know what the goal is. I thought we had we're gonna see Afton probably reincarnated, but maybe he's gonna
Yeah.
be haunting another suit. I don't know what the goal is for them. Like they want to get the daughter of Josh Hutchinson to the restaurant, and that's like the whole point. But I don't know. I don't know what the point is yet, and that's why it's a good trailer
Yeah.
because I don't know the point. I would argue that me not knowing the point actually is better.
Yeah. So there's, if I remember correctly from the original, the theories of the synopsis, because again, the games don't necessarily give you a full blown like walkthrough of the story. It's a lot of hypothesizing. A lot of what people think is that the bodyguard is actually Afton's son who had run away before he died. And that's why the same bodyguard keeps signing up to be security at these different Five Nights at Freddy or like Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria locations. So I'd be interested to see how far they pull from that. I don't think they will, because they would. I mean, it would be a pretty sharp turn from what they've already established.
Oh, it's not Josh Hutchinson's daughter. Aren't they siblings?
I think they are.
Sorry. So, do they know their parents died? I think.
I see. I don't. I don't know.
I think their parents died, and that's why he's taking care of her. I don't know. I was trying to put pieces together and say Afton might be a parent, but I doubt it. Maybe an uncle.
No, I'm intrigued to see where they again. And my whole thing is like how far with the games. I guess that's how I started, and that's how I'll end. Is like with the theories versus what we do know. Like how
Game theories.
how far will they stick to source versus not? And I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. And again, I know Emily's excited for this one. But we'll show you our last trailer of the evening, and it is the Peacemaker Season 2 teaser.
I don't want to be a joke anymore. I want to be a real hero.
You wear a clown costume.
I'm going to make a life in the other world.
There's another dimension. It's exactly the same as ours.
But better. Best dimension ever.
I love it.
That was not how the original trailer. I cut that together, so it was like, you wear a clown costume, and he immediately is like, I'm gonna go to another dimension. It's just- he's very hurt by her opinion of his costume. No, that there's a little bit more build up to it, but to get to the point, I wanted to tell the story with that trailer, and that's pretty much the synopsis. I will spoil a little bit more if you don't watch the trailer. We do see Rick Flag Sr. In this season. So this will take place after the last Suicide Squad with Idris Elba and the giant starfish, and spoiler, Peacemaker offs Rick Flag Jr.
Yeah.
So that is why Senior is here, and he is a crucial role, might even be a portion of the antagonist role. I don't know if he's the main antagonist, but he's definitely going to be a thorn in Peacemaker's side through this. And Peacemaker, through his father in his large closet, has dimensions that are readily accessible, and it seems like Peacemaker finds like the best one where everything is happy. And I think he actually meets himself, and then he has to fight himself. So it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
But I look forward to that. I enjoyed season 1. This is going to be less world threatening, I think, maybe, and just going to be a whole lot more of inner, fighting within Peacemaker and trying to find his place.
Yeah.
He's going to have to come back to his own dimension eventually. So that it's one of those generic grass is greener on the other side, but is it? But it's not. And you find yourself, you were always happy to
Yeah.
begin with.
I mean, isn't that literally what Deadpool and Wolverine was? Like,
Yeah.
so, I mean, not necessarily apples to oranges and all that, but I guess like something that was interesting to me when I first watched it was like, okay, other dimension, is he talking about the DCEU versus the DCU? Because that'd be pretty funny if he was like, this one's so much better and he's just in James Gunn. But this is
Yeah,
where
I doubt it. I doubt it.
I do
Right?
too, because the longer I went on, it made no sense. Because what we do know, again, coming from this, everything we talk about the DCU outside of what we saw with Superman is just from James Gunn. So you're gonna hear I've abused it to this point, and I'm gonna continue to abuse it when we talk about it because that's literally the only thing we have to go off of. But Gunn says that Flag Junior's death is canon in the events, for the most part, of Suicide Squad are canon. So if he's going,
and Bloodsport as well
is canon. So if he's going to
Yeah.
another universe, that wouldn't make the events that are canon canon. So it's like
Right.
the more you think about it, like it's funny at first because it's like, oh, that's how he gets into it's another universe. But it can't be, because then the events of the universe that he left that Gunn is saying is canon can't be canon. So
and the dimension he's going to is so far different. I mean, his dad's still alive, and he's not a racist.
yeah. Like I'm really interested to see like it'll go that route, the exact route you described, and I think I think like that's the best way to do it. It'll be very interesting. I mean, world threat internal, like that's it's just the natural kind of flow of progression when you're looking to develop a character. But there's that also. I think what I loved about just everything we've seen from the Peacemaker series is when he's interviewing with the Justice Gang and they forget to turn off I love it. I just think it's so funny that Guy Gardner would just be like, this dude's not cool. And it's like Guy Gardner with his bowl cut. Like, it's just so funny. Like, I love the interactions with the characters that we've seen so far. I'm really excited to see how Peacemaker develops. Apparently, John Cena and Peacemaker are a major player in the franchise and the DCU moving forward. So seeing how that continues to play out will be very interesting.
Which is awesome for John Cena, who I mean tried to like start. He started. I remember him first in Fred.
Oh
the
my
dad
gosh!
in Fred.
Yeah, the imaginary dad.
Yeah, and that was the first time that I saw him like acting not in swim shorts or spandex.
There's he never. Are you talking about WWE? Because he never wore spandex, or maybe early in his career. Maybe he did. He wore
really
jorts,
baggy basketball shorts
Yeah.
and jorts.
I love from the Fred movies when he busts out of the fridge on the ground and Fred's like, "Dad," and he just like starts to assault him. It's
Dude, he'd always like throw him. Like he would throw him into things.
There's not a lot of funny moments in that series, but every time he'd bust out of somewhere and just start throwing Fred was really funny. I think that says enough about the franchise. When your main character's getting beat up, you find it the best part. But
it was so relatable.
But going back, and we referenced John Cena, and we're going a little off track because of how far he's come. But I'm very intrigued to see exactly how far Peacemaker will go in the franchise, how he will interact. Will he and Bloodsport? Will Idris Elba come back as Bloodsport? Because that would be a fun like connection to have then as well. It's like, how will those two interact after? If you've not seen the Suicide Squad, go watch it because they have a fight and Peacemaker loses. But yeah. Anything you want to say about our trailers before we do our last little tidbit?
I'd like to see more of Bloodsport anyway. I think he's a cool character. Yeah.
I like the Spot as well, but
yeah,
we won't see
that's
him.
going to be, I don't think you're going to get a standalone for a long time. Maybe a series.
We can't, Jake. He
he
died. Sorry.
I forgot.
That's your mom. I love that. I love that clip so much. Sorry. Anyway, go watch The Suicide Squad. It's pretty good. Lastly, before we let you go, we're going to tell you what you should know before you go. So we have, I think today it's 5 or 6 different headlines that, while they're big and you should know about them, they're not necessarily big enough to have a long-winded explanation and discussion. So we're going to go through 5 or 6 things that you should know about, and then we're going to go over the maybe 2, maybe 3 that you should really, really get to know. So Starting in the realm of Disney, Lilo and Stitch co-creator Chris Sanders to write live-action sequel. So we don't know. We've talked in depth about what that'll look like. The fact that they're bringing back co-creator makes me feel a little bit more confident about it, especially since it's more of an original story, but we will see. Francis Ford Coppola teams with Live Nation to bring his commercial failure feature, Megalopolis, on tour around the U.S. Includes previously cut dream sequences and states, quote, "It was my world. I own the picture. I can do anything I want with it." Which, okay. The once doomed Coyote vs. Acme film now officially has an August 28th, 2026 release date, which is exciting. They just announced that at this past weekend San Diego Comic-Con. A sequel to DreamWorks' The Wild Robot is officially in the works. In an interesting marketing tactic, The Naked Gun starring Liam Neeson now has an OnlyFans account. And finally, the God of War series has officially received official details, including the adaptation of the Norse-era games with original game director Cory Barlog involved. The focus will be on Kratos and Atreus, with the tone similar to the games. So far, 2 seasons are greenlit, with season 1 having 10 episodes. Writing is still taking place, and filming begins next year at the earliest, so it could be later.
Ugh,
So,
horrible.
I think I know which one you're going to really be intrigued to talk about. But Jake, what of our what you should know before you go stories, which ones intrigue you?
I like I only played the God of War 1 for a little bit. I only played a little bit of it, but I think it's such a good story because I think I actually watched a YouTube video of all the cutscenes.
Oh,
Just
really?
because I wanted to know what the story was. And so that was like an hour and a half or 2 hours. I'll never get back, but I liked it. I don't mean that in a negative way. So I think a season or a series will be quite awesome. I wonder if it's going to be retelling or news stories. I think Megalopolis on tour is dumb, waste of money. Excited for Coyote versus Acme. And the Naked Gun having an OnlyFans is clever, but I don't know if it's going to work.
Starting at the last, I think it's just going to be content that is just it's just a little bit more raunchy than what you see online, because obviously you're not going to see what you normally see there from that film. So I think it'll just be more of the same of what they're posting now, and it'll be funny, hoo hoo ha ha. But the reason that I think it's so interesting is because everyone makes fun of that certain social media platform, and for them to have one is just funny enough that people will talk about it.
And that's all it is
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about us. Don't talk about anything else.
Yeah. It doesn't
We're cool.
Dude, they could post nothing on the account, but the fact that they have one and they could say go to it is so, like, well, look at us.
Yeah.
You know, like it was enough.
Maybe we should.
No. in other around our quick news, I'm really excited for Coyote versus Acme. I've been following that film since before it was canceled. That's another John Cena starring film. I think it's got Will Forte in it.
Is John Cena Coyote, I guess?
No, I don't think he's himself, but I don't know what role he plays. like he's not voicing anything. Like he's a live action character.
Interesting.
So I mean, I have a soft spot for this film because it's in the same breath as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which I adore that film. And so the thought of getting another one
because of Jessica?
Not because of that. No, because it's just that the live action versus animation and like in the same room is so creative and it's so innovative. Like it's so cool. So it's like I wanted to get that again, like especially when I didn't know it was a thing that they were going to do again until they Coyote versus Acme. And then it's like, yes. And apparently like early screenings of it said it was awesome. Everyone that was attached to the film said it was great. And it got cut for tax purposes, right? Like Warner Brothers wanted to make money. So it's like, it was really like, it sucked because it was like, I was so interested in like just the art style. So the fact that it's back.
The reason it got tabled was worse.
Tax related benefits. They really like Warner Brothers realized they could get more money from the federal government in a tax break because the film never released than they would earning, like they at least they thought, than releasing the film. But because everyone thought the film was so good who worked on it or actually saw it, they had this huge uprising, and that's why it's a thing. So Ketchup Entertainment.
Wait for it to flop.
Oh,
it'll never work that way ever again.
Oh, I would be so sad. Ketchup Entertainment they own the distribution rights. They bought it. They're the ones who released the last late last year, the Looney Tunes movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up. That one made a decent amount of money. So I'm happy to see them committing to like full feature length animation, even animation live action adjacent. That one's the one I'm most excited about. I could really, outside of the God of War series, which is fairly interesting to me. I've never really played the game, so I'm interested to see how, like, I know the general the idea. How exactly what you question is how much will they pull and how much will they create new? But really, the big thing that I'm super interested in is Coyote versus Acme.
Because for the last thing is Kratos has this intricate and very deep backstory. How are you going to tell the story to a new watcher? That's always going to be the question when creating a movie or a TV show adapted from a video game or in other mediums, but particularly a video game, because those you're making it for know it,
Yeah.
but everybody else on whatever streaming platform or whoever hosts it, um, they won't. And so it's like, how do you like who is Kratos? Like, if I'm gonna ask
Yeah.
my mom who Kratos is, she don't know who Kratos is.
The God of
So
War.
no, that's Ares.
I know. I was being sarcastic. I know.
No, I know, but like that was that's the point. Is like you're gonna have to answer that, and that's why I wonder how they're gonna tell this story. Because if Atreus is in it, then we got a whole nother like.
Yeah.
Now we know around when it takes place. How are we gonna tell the before? How do he get to where he is now? And there's even like Atreus is actually like Loki.
Yeah.
I think is what the second game is about. So how do you tell that to somebody who's used to the MCU?
Yeah, right. This is very rooted in obviously, it's Norse mythology, but it's also its own creative thing. So it's like,
Yeah.
you're completely right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just going to be a question that they have to answer, and I look forward to it.
Yeah. And with that, unless Jake, you have anything else you want to share to the people before they go?
Tell Emily how good a job she did. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Emily. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and let these wonderful people go. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode of Beyond the Screen.